Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, hey, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all great companies that you should have on your team working for you. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys for their support of the podcast. You know, at my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for student athletes, for coaches, and for parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that came back on these surveys, almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from our squeaky wheel parents, but the surveys allowed us to hear their concerns, usually address them before they turned into something big. But getting back to that positive data, incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, sometimes your principal, sometimes even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown's your trusted partner in growing school revenue, building websites, ticketing, and a whole lot more. Whether you're a principal, an athletic director, even a head coach, Hometown Solutions are going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your entire community together. Go to hometown.com for more information. Find out all the great ways that they can help you and your athletic department. That's hometown.com. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but guess what? My assistant athletic director did, and it was a great experience. And while he was earning his degree, along with thousands of others, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. And as always, don't forget to mention the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Beacon Creative and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but Beacon Creative has taken it to a whole new level. Beacon is a content creation service, and they're going to take your stories, your history, your coaches, your student athletes, and come up with compelling narratives that you can then post on social media. You don't need to lift a finger. You can also post them on a Vital Signs video board. I want you to reach out to John Townsend, and you can email John at John, John, at beaconwalloffame.com. Beacon Creative and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. It's a winning team that you should be on. Let's also say thanks to the #1 Booster Club software program, and that's Booster Hub. Your Booster platform, does it handle all your communication? Does it handle your volunteer scheduling, your volunteer changes? You know that's going to happen. With Booster Hub, nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays connected. Spiritware sales, meal fees, sponsorship payments. Booster Hub takes care of all of this. It's the platform your boosters need. It's the platform they deserve. Go to boosterhub.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. You know, as a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, I'm telling you, all of our coaches just love the platform. Our student athletes love the videos. Our parents love the streaming, but there's a whole lot more. Go to huddle.com, join the 100 million fans and users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo and see all their great products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile, and their customer service just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Gipper is the modern marketing platform that makes it easy for any athletic department to look like they're Division One, look like they're pro without spending extra time or adding additional staff. Gipper is used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Use from their collection of thousands of templates, but you can custom brand them with your colors, your logo, your messages. Post text, images, video, and graphics to unlimited Facebook, Instagram, and X accounts. And you can schedule content in advance so you can truly set it and forget it. Go to Gipper.com to find out all the things they can do for you. That's Gipper.com. And we want to say thanks to Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facility management. Home Campus does all of these things and more, and it does it better and faster than the other platforms. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? That platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com to see all the things that they can do for you. That's homecampus.com. And as always, tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got one of our regulars back with us. Kristy Belden is a name familiar to regular listeners. If not, Kristy is a certified master athletic administrator. She's an associate AD at Bishop Moore Catholic High School in Orlando. She's also their student athlete college counselor. Does a lot of work with their athletes, helping them get placed at the next level. Very active, at the local, at the state, I dare say even the national level. Kristy Belden, welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you, Jake. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to having some great conversation.
Oh, absolutely. You and I were talking before we started to record, and, it's a topic that I think everybody's interested in. We can never have enough current information because the landscape is changing, and that's recruiting, helping our student athletes get to the next level. You're kind of all in on this at Bishop Moore. What do you got for our listeners today on your Wednesday Wisdom segment?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as the college landscape is evolving at a fast and furious rate, obviously, whether it's the chicken or the egg, the high school landscape is changing as well. So again, I mean, depending on your perspective and how you look at it, are the issues, going upwards, they start at the high school and they're moving into college, or is it vice versa, or is it just kind of, some imitation? So I think, as athletic administrators, coaches, counselors, whatever our particular role is making sure that our student athletes, and even more so their parents, are well versed in the changing landscape. I think, I try to, with our kids and our families, try to have these conversations as brutally and honest as we possibly can be, and understand that college recruiting is a business. Unfortunately, what it was 5 years ago is not the same today. So I think the more that, that we can do to educate these families, get in front of it and make sure that they understand, a lot of the processes that maybe their neighbors' kids or maybe even older siblings went through, with recruiting is just not the same in 2026. So I think it's really, doing the different things, with our families, in specific, we try to talk about, for example, the house settlement and what that has impacted, how that has impacted, women's sports as well as Olympic sports more so. Roster sizes, we've talked about, the impact there. And then obviously, NIL is, while we can't necessarily get in the state of Florida, we can't necessarily get involved in these conversations with our families. We do have to make them aware of NIL in terms of the recruiting process and how that may impact their decision making. And then probably the biggest piece is the transfer portal. And what does that look like? And how is that changing the opportunities, for high school kids? And even, as the year progresses, when are college coaches coming to campus? Who's looking at it? What level are they looking at? And where the trickle down is and where they kind of fit into that puzzle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, again, there's just so many different facets to it. We used to just talk about, finding a good fit, academically and then maybe athletically beyond that. But now so many other parts to it. Um, I guess once again, you're in a unique situation, private school. So the parents, they're already expecting their kids to go to college somewhere. Have you fielded any, that's inquiries from parents of any kind, positive, negative, at Bishop Moore?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's something that, again, even as freshmen, I think, our through our college of career and through our counselors and on the academic side, we're blessed in the fact that we are a college preparatory school. So the expectation is all these, young men and young women coming through the door, the expectation for the most part is that they're going to go to college. And with that being said, obviously many, think have dreams and aspirations of playing in college. Ironically, this year, we've got a signing day, next week, the last one of the school year, and we're actually going to set the record for the highest number of student athletes that have committed to play at the next level for this academic school year. So the opportunities are there. But as you said, fit, I think in 2026, 2027, as this thing is continuing to evolve, it's more so doing their due diligence, doing their research, and finding out what is the right fit. Obviously, academically, athletically, socially, financially, personally, for their faith, all of the things, and understanding that no school is going to check every box, but it's what are your list of what is your non-negotiables? What are the things that are most important to you in a college experience? And where do you find the right fit? And I think the reality of it is families and young people can no longer get caught up on the name brand just because you're a fan of a school, just because you maybe grew up wearing a certain combination of colors or a particular conference, you can't really look there. Obviously, just in terms of generalities across all sports, Division I is becoming increasingly difficult to get into it as a college or as a college freshman, coming out of high school. It's easier for college coaches if they have a need, whether it's I need a pitcher, I need a quarterback, I need a running back, I need someone who can run 100 meters, whatever they're looking for, to go into the portal and say, okay, I'm gonna get this 22-year-old who has been in college, they've been on their own, they've got the strength conditioning done, they know how to handle school, they're living on their own. I don't have to recruit mom and dad. And if they don't work out, I'm only stuck with them for a year versus the 17-year-old. Are they going to develop? We don't know if they're going to continue to grow. We don't know if they're going to get any faster, stronger, this, that, and the other. Are they going to get homesick? Is mom a pain in the butt? We don't necessarily want to deal with her, right? Dad thinks he's the coach, right? All of the different dynamics. So it's more so in this recruiting process. It's how do we find these right fits for these high school kids and look for the best opportunity. And also with the reality of the portal, which I don't necessarily, 5 years ago, I would never have said, but when you're looking for the right fit, that sadly, you kind of have to look at it that maybe it's the right fit for right now. It might not be the right fit for 4 years, unfortunately. I would love to say that you're choosing a school to graduate from that school and be able to, have a 4 or 5 year experience there. But you also have to look at it that it may be a 1 or 2 year experience, as you evolve and as your journey progresses. So it's really kind of looking at what is important to you. And as I said, not getting caught up on a particular conference level, what have you, that maybe right now D2 is kind of the sweet spot. Division I is obviously, very heavy on internationals, very heavy on the transfer portals, and older student athletes. D2 obviously has the luxury where there's academic monies and athletic monies and the ability to stack. And then we've got, of course, D3 and NAIA, junior college, and so on. So I truly believe there is a place for people to play. And then now, obviously, we've seen a significant rise in the number of club sports at the college level are truly taking off. Because many young people are choosing, I still want to go to this is my dream school.
Right.
And maybe I can't play there as a Division I, II, III student athlete, but I might get my degree from there and then go be on the club lacrosse team or the club swim team or the, what have you. So there's ways to achieve. It's just in more so being open-minded to the different routes to get there.
Boy, so many different questions as you were talking about, the portal and the changes that it's made to recruiting. Um, Again, obviously, I'm not completely naive to the amount of money, millions of dollars for institutional level, national level, network contracts, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of money, but it seems like the system is changed and now it's geared more so to and these are my words, the elite athlete, as opposed to, let's have a system where, kids go to college for 4 years. And oh, by the way, there's a basketball team that really good basketball men and women can play on, as opposed to what it seems to be. And I'm not this, I'm trying not to be the old guy on the soapbox. Back in my day, this is how it was. Here's my point. It seems like too often, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're an AD, you're working, your boots on the ground. I try to stay connected, but it seems like too often, more often than not, we hear discussions from current ADs, current coaches especially, that seem to focus on that 4% of high school students, 5% that are going to college. Oh, we got to get these kids ready for college. Well, actually, no, you don't, because only 5% are going to college. What about the other 95%? Let's make sure they have a great high school experience. So, do you see any shift of the needle towards this focusing on the 5 and 6% at the expense of the rest of the kids? Did I make that question clear?
Yeah, no, I would, and I would agree. And I think, as especially when, when we're talking about, some of the halves in college athletics, right? We're talking about the footballs, the basketballs of the world, where the NIL money, the contracts are significant. And then we've got kind of everybody else that are not seeing those monies. I mean, the average NIL deal for everybody else, is around $1,500. So for many, that's not life-changing, right? So from our perspective on the recruiting side, I think as these things are happening, as these whatever, obviously, there's some illusion like, oh wow, look at these deals, look at this kid, looking at that are going there. But I think, from us, that's why getting ahead of it and educating our families on the realities of and being honest and open with our kids that what is the right fit and what is the right level and no different than when you go to sell your house, right? The market is going to dictate. Recruiting is the exact same way. The market is going to dictate if there is a need for your services. And sometimes it may not be at the level that you would hope. And then you have a decision to make. If no matter what, if you're D1 or bust, and then you're not willing to, but your offers are coming in and maybe they're D2 or maybe they're not necessarily where you're comfortable. I think some of our families are kids are making the choice, maybe I just want to hang on my cleats, or maybe I'm gonna, maybe I'm kind of done doing this. So I would say, we are having some people that are realizing that, what, maybe I do want to be a regular student. They call it a non-athletic regular person is what the kids are calling themselves now. And so as administrators, I think that's where our perspective is, educating them on the family that, the offers that were typically 5 years ago, Division I, top notch, right now are typically kind of coming in D2. D2 offers 5 years ago are now coming in kind of D3s. So everybody's kind of down a peg right now. And if they've got to make a decision, are they comfortable with that? Are they willing to give it a go at this level? Or just saying no, maybe that's where the club sport, or maybe, what, I am going to go, maybe I want to just go be a regular student and then get into Greek life or get a job or, kind of what have you. But from our perspective too, it's also recognizing the numbers. And while we do have a very high number of our student athletes and, our senior class that do have the opportunity, also making sure that you said the other five, really on our end, it's about, 90%, because about 10% of our kids typically will have the opportunity to play, but that 90%, that this experience here is the best that it possibly was, right? Because the high school experience, that this is memorable, that they enjoy this, that they are a better young man or young woman because of the experiences here, right? That they enjoy the time with their teammates, the wins, the losses, the hard work, all the dedication and all the life lessons. I spoke with one of good friends at a college campus. And it's interesting because I obviously worked at the college level in athletics for many, many years. And what we're kind of seeing now on a simple level is college athletics now is what pro sports used to be,
Yeah.
right? And then now high school is how we treat it, is everything we've kind of built here is like a college athlete student support program at the high school level. So now the high school, we're treating it the way that colleges would, with the leadership development, right? The personal development, all of the other things outside of just X's and O's.
Yeah, again, that whole college becoming the pros, I think it's almost like, college to in one aspect is just giving up on this whole idea of, the student athlete and, we're farm teams. Again, your point about student athletes, high school student athletes having a great high school experience and then choosing to go to college and just, be a student. This, so hopefully people don't think I'm bragging. We had a pretty good, and still do, athletic program at McClay.
Mhm.
And again, as a college prep school like Bishop Moore, we sent kids every year to, Ivies, to service academies. We get 5 or 6 kids in the University of Florida every year. That's hard to do, and we're a small school. And our teams also did pretty good, by the way. I remember we had a boys state champion soccer team a couple years before I left, and these kids were first team all state. They were good athletes and they're being recruited, but I think only one of them chose to play collegiate soccer, and that was at a lower level. And to a kid, they said, "Hey, I had a great time in high school. I'm ready to try something else." And so
Mhm.
it's not the end of the world, athletic directors, if your student athletes don't decide to play at the college level. You
Mhm.
did your job. You provided them with a great high school experience.
For sure, for sure. And as like I said at the beginning, college athletics is a business. And we're kidding ourselves if we think that it's not. But, for these young people and for these families, absolutely. If you have the opportunity and you want to play at the next level, oh my gosh, I will absolutely support you and do everything we possibly can to get you there and do all the things and hope that it is an amazing experience. Um, but you also have to be prepared that it is a job. It is, and it is business, and those coaches and administrators, I mean, they're paid to win games, and you are a part of that. So the touchy feelies and all of those things are pretty much absent at that level. So what I would say is, for these young people deciding if that is not something that you're comfortable with, if you're not comfortable with being a job, or if you think that, what we are doing at the high school level is difficult, you may want to reconsider because you need to be all in to make it at that level because it is fierce, it is competitive to the nth degree. So I think that's where, as this thing is evolving and as the people are seeing the writing on the wall, that's where I think, I would much rather have a young person make that choice now before they get in and it's too late, before they've signed, before they've gotten there, they've moved halfway across the country and decided, no, you know what, this isn't for me. I really don't want to kick the soccer ball any round, or you know what, I don't want to look at that black line at the bottom of the pool anymore. I think I'm done. I've swam enough laps. Whatever whatever your thing is, just making sure that you're comfortable with the decision. And that's where, we also have to realize these are 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids. So as the adults in the room, right, as supporting between the coaches and the parents and all the things, giving as much perspective and as much knowledge, encouraging them and helping them make the best educated decision that they can. And I will often tell kids, when you're choosing a school, if your sport were to come off the table, would you still choose that school? And if the answer is no, then you need to keep looking because there is much more to it than just the sport. And it's making sure that they're because like I said, 9 times out of 10, if you're leading with your sport, there's other pieces that you're looking for. That's why in the recruiting process, parents should be going on these visits, right? They should be asking the hard questions with the coaches, and it needs to be a family decision to where, these young people can thrive and be in the best possible situation, to be a better, man or woman because of their student athlete experience.
Yeah. And again, those are some things that you do intentionally through your program there at Bishop Moore. I'm going to put you on the spot okay, and you can choose not to answer this if you want to. For the last couple of years, okay, um, how would you grade uh, the, I'm trying to think of this word, the retention rate of your graduates that you sent on to colleges that they're staying there, that they did a good job of finding that fit. You were there to help them, but they did a good job. Has it been successful for you? Are you happy with the results?
For sure, for sure. And I think, and I think that's one piece of the puzzle. I think there's other reasons why, people don't work. I think when you compare student athlete retention as well as even with freshman retention, right? There's some issues there and overall college retention. I would say our kids are probably about 75% in terms of staying with their sport. Now they may leave, then they may go to a different school and still be in their sport. And I would say, and not necessarily at their freshman year, but I would say by the time, their 4-year college's career is over, probably about a quarter will kind of decide, you know what, I'm good. Maybe my knees have had enough, or, I'm ready to just kind of get a job, or, their careers change, their education, especially if they're going into, pre-med or, something that is incredibly demanding, they may say, you know what, I need to focus on this a little bit more. But I would say probably about 75% that leave here finish their college career as a student athlete, and have done a good job of going on, and then several at the pro level that are really just doing amazing things.
Yeah. No, and again, that's I would say that's pretty darn high. I just look at my own career where I started at School X as a freshman. I was homesick, ended up coming back home, went to the local junior college, graduated from them, and then went on to a 4-year school where I finished my degree, and again, did football and track at all of them. But it's just the way it works out. Okay.
For sure, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
And like I said, I think that's where, especially I think people understanding, and it's only going to, I would assume, get worse. But for when we're talking like freshmen, sophomores, juniors right now that are already starting to contemplate, the college recruiting and college admissions process, they have to understand that these are my words. College athletics has gone a little crazy right now. College admissions has also gone crazy. So as a student athlete, you are dealing with two incredibly demanding, competitive processes. So you have to be prepared for that and say, you know what, not everyone is going to get into this school and not everyone can play at these schools. So it's where do we kind of decipher that and navigate through that to find where I can. And going back to my point earlier is once you do have that opportunity, you've got these amount of offers, you've got these amount of schools that you've been offered admissions to, or maybe some academic monies. Where out of those does it check the most boxes? Right. And if we've got 10 things on our list of wishes or on our wish list, our 10 non-negotiables. If we have a school that has 8 or higher, oh my gosh, sign, go, you're set to go. If you're between 6 and 8, we're probably doing pretty good. It's probably a pretty good fit. But if you're 5 and below, you need to keep looking.
Mhm. Yeah, no, great advice. Speaking of great advice, if one of our listeners wanted to pick your brain a little bit more, and listeners, you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that they can connect with Kristy Belden?
Email always. Yeah, email is for sure the probably where I'm the quickest responding. I'm usually in my inbox probably more than I should be. But yeah, email. So it's beldenk@bishopmoore.org.
Okay.
And always happy to chat about recruiting and navigating and A, how I can help, and B, what other people are doing to kind of navigate this evolving world.
Well, Kristy Belden, Bishop Moore Catholic, thanks again for coming back on Wednesday Wisdom. All the best with continued success in spring sports and college placement, and definitely looking forward to connecting in person at our FIAAA conference coming up in May.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jake. Always a pleasure.
For our listeners, it's a pleasure having you tune in. And just remember, we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Wednesday Wisdom just about every week, just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, Kristy Belden, make sure you reach out. Great resource. Speaking of reach out to these sponsors. They are tremendous additions to your team. They're time savers, they're money makers, they're companies that you want to work with. Let's say thanks to Athletic Surveys. If you're not using a survey to check the pulse of your stakeholders, you're really missing out on a great resource. Go to athleticsurveys.com. If you got a booster club, you need Booster Hub. It's the #1 booster club software program. Go to boosterhub.com. Home campus. If you schedule, if you have rosters, if you have reports, if you have facilities, if you do athletic eligibility and clearance, you need home campus. Go to homecampus.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. It's only the best purchase I ever made as an AD. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Huddle. I used Huddle as a football coach. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com to get started. Hometown. Digital ticketing, fundraising, and a lot more. Go to hometown.com. You're going to be glad you did. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Check out Ohio University and put someone in touch with them that is looking to get their master's degree. Gipper. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to gipper.com. You're going to be glad you did. And Beacon Creative Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Vital Signs has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but Beacon Creative takes it to a whole new level. Check out all the things that they can do for you. And as always, tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.